we were talking and you didn't get distracted. But when I started saying letters, that was really distracting, isn't it?
Yes.
Why is that? It's the same game you're playing. I'm putting things in there too.
Mm-hmm.
It's because your attention is on it already.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to filter it out, isn't it? So when you're working with spelling, we could play some games. Say P, F, O. Maybe put a couple in. But I really gave it to you, didn't I? You start doing Washington again.
W-A-S-H-I-N-G.
P-F-O-L-J-K-L-M-N-O. So if I add in one letter at a time, she could handle that, couldn't she?
Yes.
We all can generally.
Yes.
But when I start naming lots of them, man,
lost.
it's hard to filter it out, isn't it? Remember what we said on the first day? Head trauma patients have difficulty filtering things out. That's an extreme issue, isn't it? So we can train them doing activities and bring input in so that you now have to filter everything out. Take you to another higher level all the time, right? Okay, so again, yep.
I tried to close my eyes and I was not, somehow I did not get disrupted. But I don't know if it
You closed your eyes and you weren't distracted?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I was able to, I was thinking of the word.
Oh, okay, you could stay focused better because you had less input that you were ignoring. Again, less noise, right? Less visual distractors. So you can use visual distractors, auditory distractors, tactile distractors. Those are all distractors you can use. So to me, that's really kind of a very cool thing that we have in our toolbox, is using ball spelling or an activity like that, where you teach the patient, wow, if you're my patient, I'm going to say, wow, you were able to stay focused on it, even I was giving you all those letters. That was impressive. So what am I telling my patient? They have the ability to do things. They can figure things out and sort it out with effort and time. We always want to emphasize effort. That's the key. Not necessarily that you got it right or wrong, but their effort. All right, word array and word search. There's a website called armoredpenguin.com. You can have your patients type their words into it that they want to learn. It makes a word search for them, and then they have to go ahead and circle out all the words. Okay? The other thing about that is you could print it in red or orange on your printer. And then you could do red clear work, right, for MFBF or amblyopia therapy. But again, the key here is ball spelling and word search, but we're going to talk to you about word array in a second. Now, one other thing I'm going to emphasize here is John Medina. He wrote the book called Brain Rules. He showed that when you do short to long-term memory, if you do an activity, like let's say I gave you the word Washington, and you're having trouble with it, you didn't know it, we practiced it. I would come back to you an hour from now and say, here's a piece of paper, write the word for me. Now you notice I did not tell her what the word was. She has to recall the word that we did an hour ago. Most of the time patients can do that. So we may do this at the beginning of a therapy session, give them a word, at the end they have to recall it. That is supposed to take you from short into long-term memory. Very beneficial for a lot of your kids too. So in essence, we're kind of doing some peds here, aren't we? Really, because to me, pediatrics and head injury, very similar aspects. Okay. All right. Now, here is one of our young boys, CP. And now he cannot really fully control his board. So what do? We have mom help support him in the motor. So he's spelling a word up on the board right here. The word is notice. Okay. Now, which words do you work on? It depends on the patient. We usually work on more challenging words, words that you have that are not phonetically correct, words that are challenging. So we worked on this activity, work on say the word, spell it, say the word. So it's always cat, C-A-T, cat. They get to look at the word initially, and then you hide the word. So if you have it on a whiteboard, the patient can look at it and turn their back to it. Or I could have a whiteboard here and say, here it is, do it. Now do it without looking. I'm going to hide it. Now look up here, do it backwards. So again, we kind of just go through a step-by-step process there. Now word array. You write 3 to 5 words across the page. Okay? correct them as you go. Cover and ask to rewrite all from memory. So this is an activity by Ingersoll. Then phonetically correct versus incorrect. What's easier, phonetically correct or incorrect words?
Phonetically correct.
Exactly, much easier, like Washington. Wednesday, not so easy, but if you know Wednesday, you can do it backwards, can't you? Okay? That's the key. So let's walk through Ingersoll. So on your piece of paper, I wouldn't have these words initially, but I have you write the first word, Washington. You write it down on your first point. So you guys can do it on the top of your page if you want. Divide 3 columns, write the first word, Washington. Now, as you're doing it, I'm going to watch you, okay? So let's say you skip ing. I immediately tell you there's also an ing in the middle because I don't want the misspelled word hanging around. The longer it hangs around, the more likely you're going to train that. So I will do the words only one at a time, have them spell it, correct them right away as soon as they have the first one. We go to the next word. The word is believe. You write that one. Let's say they dropped out the I. I would say there's also an I between the L and the E. Can you fix it for me? So there it has it in there. So they would correct it. We go to the last word, Oregon. You write it in. Okay? Correct it if you need to. So the first stage is write all 3 words. Okay? And you correct them as you go. Next we do is I cover up all 3 words up here. And imagine they're not here. I'll just cover all of them, let's say. Write the 3 words where they were. So you have to write Washington, believe, and Oregon, all in order. So I'm not practicing 1 word at a time. I'm practicing 3 words. And I'm also practicing what? The order of the words. If the orders are flipped in order, are they the same or different? Oh, they're different. Okay, make them all the same. Ready? Start again. So I have them write the 3 words until they get them 100%. Sometimes they will get 1 word right and then miss this one and get this one right. You have them say, okay, cover them up, do them again. Then they'll miss this one and get this one right because they're dividing their attention. Okay? They're trying to put attention and sustain attention to the task. So then we do this until the patient has all 3 words correct without an error. Now what do? 1 hour later, write the 3 words from memory again. It's a very powerful tool for recalling spelling. Okay? Nice also for kids too. Now, other aspects. There's what's called Clay as a Medium, Davis Dyslexia Program. They have the kids roll out snakes. You make the snakes into letters, so you work on letter names, okay? What's the advantage of that? Is it the medium that it's clay? Or is it sustained attention to the task? That you're sustaining attention to what the letters look like, how they're arranged in order. It's sustained attention, I think, more so than simply it's clay. People like to say a lot of times with sensory modalities, it's the medium that's the key. But when you use a different medium, usually it forces you to slow down thinking. So you have to really think about how you put it together and make your snakes and such. We work on concentration memory games, red-green letters, red-green phonetic focus, word search. So let's give you some examples there. We can use a magnet doodle. You can use clay. We'll do concentration games. Let's say your patient's trying to look at words and they keep missing several words. You pull those words aside and make a concentration game. We have did, the, said. Turn it upside down. Turn one over. What word is it? Did. Turn the other one over. Did. Oh, you got a match? Okay, that's yours. My turn now. What word's this one? The, said. Oh, they don't match? Okay, your turn. And you just play a game of memory with it. But you're using words,
Like
right?
Pictionary.
Like Pictionary? Okay. All right, these are red-green alphabet cards, more so with our pediatric population for red-green, but we'll have a complete set of A through Z cards. Tom Headline was able to make me up some cards. I was always looking for a set of alphabet cards. Red and green A, red, green B, red, green C. So that I can have my kids or my patients with diplopia or a suppression, put them all out, put them in order. So if you buy this card from him, you take the first 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. This cut right here, do 4 more rows, cut right here, 4 more rows, and you have numbers at the end. There's an extra row we had. So you can get 3 sets of alphabet cards out of 1 card. Now I don't even cut them up for them. I give them the card, they cut them up at home. And then they put it in order. So you have your kids working on alphabet order, but also anti-suppression therapy. So you're doing both of those. And then we can add spelling. Spell cat, pull the C down, pull the A down to T. So let's just see how that goes. So here's all the letters randomly put out. We have them put them in alphabetical order, A through Z. Here, this particular person did one color first, and now they're going to do the other color. And then what we do is we'll say spell words with them. So again, we're trying to do different activities with red-green work. This is phonetic focus from Sarah Cobb. You look at the first letter, I can't see it. M. M. This is your near card. Far is O-W. What word is that? Mo. Next letter is F. Fight. Next letter is P. Pay. Okay? So you're doing a near-far jump, working on some aspects in that area. So again, a nice variable activity to do. So, fundamentals of reading, Frank Smith. He was actually one of my teachers, one of our professors. It is purposeful. It is selective. It's anticipatory, and it's based on comprehension. Think about that. That's really what reading is about. It's not about, one of my other professors said this. If you are trying to learn to read and you're trying to decode it out using phonics rules, he says all you're doing is barking at print. Like a dog, right? Barking at print if you're making sounds. Because only humans really add meaning, right? We use meaning to things. So again, that's the key here, is adding comprehension. How do you make reading hard? Include little relevancy. Emphasize reading each and every word perfectly. You ever tried to read every word perfectly in a story? Your comprehension usually goes down. John went to, or you're trying to remember everything in a story. That's when you have trouble. We approximate print, not part the whole. So reading guidelines, we look at, they want the patient doing independent reading, we want 90% of the words known. Print size, again, larger print is great to see, but span of recognition may be affected with it. Look at your working distance too. So we're going to show you 3 activities, or actually 2 of them, neurological impress method and sentence cutout. So, neurological impress method actually came from World War. And what they do is, it's done in 2 or 3 steps. So what happens is that you as the patient points at the word, I'll read it for you. Then we switch places. I'll point and you read it right back. So if I say, the car is red, you say it back. You pretty much remember it, right? Backwards. Okay, that reminds me. How many of you watch Star Wars? Okay. Do you ever notice that Yoda says everything backwards? It says, I am Yoda. No, he says, Yoda am I. Everything they say is backwards. Yoda am I. That's pretty crazy. I always think about that. I go, wow. I think that'd be fun to be able to do that. Okay, so we have that as a technique. It's not simply memory though, because you're using comprehension and understanding too. If I gave you 4 numbers, you may be able to get it, but 4 words in context are generally easier. All right, now let's do it together. I'm going to point and say it for you first, okay? And I'm going to pretend you point at it. The frogs went under a log. Now it's your turn. The frogs went under a log. Okay, now it gets you into the game of reading, doesn't it? So, if you had a head trauma patient, do you think they're going to want to read this? No, probably not. What could you use Short sentences to get them going. Something men usually don't like to read, poetry. Right? Pull up poetry. Ask them, what's your favorite subject? What do you like? What animals do you like? Horses. So look up poetry, horses. Google it. Now you got poems you could work with. Something that's meaningful for them, not something that is first grade level, right? But this is a demonstration, okay? So again, poetry is a really amazing thing to be able to look at, because then once you get done reading 4 or 5 lines of a poem, then you can discuss the aspects of it too, right? All right. This is called sentence cut up. I haven't picked on you yet. Can you tell me what you had for breakfast? Make a sentence like, I had something for breakfast. Good?
I forgot to say chicken.
Okay, I had chicken. I had chicken for breakfast. Okay. So, you have your patient give you a sentence. You write the sentence down for them, right here. Now, I have you read it back. So I'll just have you read the sentence back for me. John. Now, I want to make sure that you could read it. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut it up. Cut. And we got this now. I put them up, and now you put them in order for me. So you put the pieces. John went to the store. So this is called sentence cut up. It's a nice way to get them into words as well. You could do this with poems as well. And then what you do is once they've read this, you have them type it into a computer. Now you do 5 lines of a paragraph for a poem. You have them take it home and they can read it at home now. They've already done it once, they're going to repeat it again. The 1-hour rule again. Okay. What other things? We want speed and span of recognition. So this is called word families. This is more about visual verbal speed. So the first one we're going to do is arc. We're going to read it. Ready? Bark, dark, hark, lark, mark, hark, clark, shark, spark, start. Now I timed you on that. It took you 10 seconds. Can we go faster? Let's try. Okay, ready? Bark, dark, hark, lark, mark, hark, clark, shark, spark, start. Oh wow, you got 7 seconds. Awesome. So we're going to go through that. Visual verbal speed, recognition of the words, get them out fast and quick. Okay? So that's another variation on some activities to work on. Contrary to what you think, some people a lot of times think ARK is what you're memorizing. But the value of this is you're working on the beginning consonant sounds. Those are the troublemakers. Why? Because a lot of times you have to look at the end of the word to know how to say the beginning of the word. So you're getting them to take some chances and start getting that first letter out that's a consonant. Okay. Now, advanced reading recommendations. Your patients now are learning how to read, but now they're going back to school. And they're being instructed, I'm going to have you become a nuclear engineer. Not so, right? Not a head injury patient. But you need to read a manual, let's say, and find something out. If they have no idea about this new field they're going to go in, it's like me going and reading a book about skateboarding, and I'm not a skateboarder. I don't have any background in it. So if you have background in something, it's much easier to read. If you give me a book about baseball, I'll read it because I know a little bit about baseball, and I interact with it about what I know and what's being in the story. So what I'm going to do is do a technique called SQR. The long version is SQ3R, but SQR is the easier version. Survey, question, read. The patient looks at there and you teach them, look at the beginning of the chapter. What's the title? What are the subtitles in the chapter? You might read the summary paragraph. Have they read the whole story? No. But they have the big picture of it. They have a glimpse of where they're going with the story, what they're going to be learning about this new job situation in the chapter. Now you go to the end and you read all the questions. Did everybody ever tell you that you cannot read the questions at the end before you read the chapter? Nobody ever says that. It's okay, because now when you read the questions, you have an idea about things you're going to learn about. So you survey the chapter, read the questions at the end, and now you go ahead and read the chapter. Why? Because now you have a background and you know what you're looking for. It's always easier to read something you know about. Like my brother-in-law Ken, he's a Civil War fanatic. He can give me a book about the Civil War and I start reading and I'm lost. But he reads it with just voraciousness. He loves that thing. Because why? He enjoys it. He understands a lot of it. Okay, so SQR is more of an advanced thing. Now, brain-based learning by Eric Jensen. Myths. Pre-reading is a waste of time. Pre-reading is too much work. Pre-reading is something you know. These are myths. You want to watch out though, subvocalization, regression, prolonged fixation. What you really want is looking and evaluating what's coming up in the story. So let's look at a case and let you go here for the day, where I think we're doing about pretty good on time. Okay. Left stroke. Occipital and temporal. So is there possibly a visual field issue? Yes. Is a neglect possible issue? It's a left stroke. Do you think language might be affected? Very likely. She has a right hemianopsia, minor language issues. She cannot name letters. Yikes. You need letter recognition to be able to see patterns of words. Why? Okay, again, words are consistently the same, sounds are not. So let's take a look at her. She has a right hemianopsia with language issues and a head tilt. Why does she have a head tilt? Low tone? Low tone, I'm going to say. But also, she's got a right hemianopsia. So here is a couple of Pele prisms we put on. We put a Pele prism on, she's aware of space on the right side, and what she do? Usually you tilt to the side of your vision field loss. That's what she did here. We put the Peles on, she's aware of space to the right side now. She holds better posture. That's a good indication we're going to get some improvement with her case right away. Next thing, we do NIM, neurological impress method. I had her pointed at the word and I said, Barb had a red car. She says, Tarm had a red car. Again, language issues, well, a lot of times you'll hear, and with aphasics, they'll say letters that are not there. They'll substitute because they're not connected really well. So we go back and we'll say Tarm or Barb. And she looks at it, oh, well, it's Barb. I know that. Do you remember seeing Tarm? If I asked her, do you remember hearing yourself say Tarm? No. I said Barb. Okay? So again, you have to work with these patients. So we go on to letter recognition. We're going to work on some naming. So I can just work on, if I gave her all the letters in the alphabet all at once, is that overwhelming for her? Probably. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out, like, say, 5 letters. I block out the rest of the puzzle so it's not a distractor for her. I pull them out, and I'll say, what letter goes in here? Apple. What letter is that? Apple. Can you say the letter name? What's the first letter in apple? Apple. I say, let's say A as in apple. Say that for me. A as in apple. Oh, now what letter is this? Apple. Not name, letter. A. I knew it was A. Okay, again, sometimes you have these interactions and you're not sure if you're paying attention or not. They generally are. It's that they have a short-circuited system. So we will a lot of times work on A as in apple, B as in boy, C as in cat, etc. to get them working on that at home. We'll teach their significant other or daughter with that. Letter puzzles. Always add vocabulary and meaning. That helps increase neurons that fire together, wire together. Initially reduce numbers and increase over time. Now we're working back on NIM. After we did this book all the way through, guess what she did? She read it all the way through by herself. This only takes about 2 minutes or so. It's only like 6-8 pages. Okay? And she could go right through and name them. Is she using her finger? Yes. Why? Keeps her attention on the page. Now we go to sentence cutout. I asked her, what did she have for breakfast? She says, I had a poached egg on toast. So she starts putting them in order and she's having trouble. And I said, okay, read it again. I had a poached egg on toast. She got it. So again, we're trying to get her into reading. Now, she knows the sentence, right? I had a poached egg on toast. I'll go back and say, what word is this? Say it. Toast. What word's this one? What word's this one? How about this one? I will jump back just for individual word recognition to see if she can pick it up. Just to reinforce it a little bit more. Okay. So, we'll just do one more because I think we want to be done and get pictures and let everybody go home. So let's just do one more quick case. Parkinson's, referral from speech. Slow response. Dry eyes, blurry at times, poor depth perception, reading only 10 minutes, loses place. Kindle loses place, can't keep up place of words when she reads out loud. So routine evaluation, where fraction octave help was good, observed reading with book and Kindle. We added substitution activities for her to be able to keep her place. Adult DEM. Vertical row was 62, 58, C was 130. Post beanbag with C was 102. So we already know there's a processing speed issue. We can help her with that. Blink rate, about 40 seconds. About every 40 seconds, one blink. Often greater than 1 minute. Alternating tempers, noctur exotropia. No near point of convergence. Fuses with the word four dotted near. So we know we're going to probably do some binocular work with her here too, right? Okay? Now, we didn't change her glasses. We used a bookmark for reading. Kindle used the red stick. Beanbag activities, sitting versus standing. We had to go to sitting, I think, with her. She couldn't alternate her hands, so we did both hands together. Both hands catching up and down versus alternately. Challenging coordinating head and eye tracking. And she's reading with greater fluency. Now, we increased blinking to 1 time every 5 seconds. So that's pretty much what we try to get her to modify. Some behavior changes, some therapy. We're going to go here, binocular vision was reinvestigated on next visit, now exophoric with poor NPC. The exotropia disappeared without doing any binocular therapy. What did we do with vestibular input? Beanbags. Not uncommon to see that. With and without vestibular input and bean activity, I think that was the key. Visual tracking, we investigated on next visit, with and without vestibular input. Patient left feeling he had concerns addressed and was more comfortable with reading and processing speed. Still followed up for more oculomotor tracking and convergence activities. Okay? All right, so with that, that pretty much wraps up the area of reading for us. Okay? What I wanted to do